Yeah, 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 yeah,
We're
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stop,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Doc.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Fucking- Hi.
Hi, friend.
How are you?
Um, wired as fuck.
Good.
The giraffe made me a red eye, like a really dark roast, with espresso.
Dude,
And it's a full fucking liter mason jar. So like,
let me.
GG's, my guy.
I. Let's start on this for a second because I like. There's a lot of people that do things like shower beers, right? They make the shower beers a
Right?
thing.
Yeah.
I am of the crowd of evening coffee. Okay, and
Have you been diagnosed with adult ADHD?
I have been diagnosed with insomnia, and I don't think they're related. Moving on.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of a nice warm cuppa, and I'm of the mind you either have creamer in it or it's black. And for me, like I don't do like a little thing of sugar or a little bit of creamer. If you're gonna put creamer in it, put the creamer in it. Put enough creamer in it to taste it with a little bit of pinch of the coffee. But at that point, the point of the coffee is to get you
I don't
awake.
think you do coffee right, but
Well, hang on. It's French vanilla, and if I put creamer in it, it's a decent amount of creamer. I like the flavor of French vanilla. But if I'm not putting creamer in it, I'm putting nothing in it, and I just drink black coffee because I actually like the taste of coffee. There is something very homely, very safe about just having a nice warm cup of coffee, sipping it at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't keep me awake.
That is weird.
It doesn't keep me awake. It doesn't. None of that. I just like it.
So it doesn't do anything. Like it doesn't give you the hypeness.
Nope.
Does it bring you down? This is the key. Are you stable or do you see a decrease?
No, I'm usually stable. I'm pretty unless I'm
Okay.
already exhausted, in which case
Mm.
I get that weird, like it does make me a little hyper, but I'm very tired hyper, and then I'm like I basically crash 10 minutes later after finishing the cup.
Okay, so maybe consider going to somebody about that.
No, I'm good.
Just saying. Okay.
No,
all
I'm
right,
good.
Yeah.
And I know I'm
You're
good because
Doesn't
Bang.
affect me. Look at me.
No.
Look at me. I'm great.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm good because Bang,
Right.
Red Bull,
Right.
all of those out of my fucking brain. Exactly what they're supposed to do.
It's not taurine that the concern is. It's usually caffeine. That's the issue. So the way that we process caffeine is a very easy way to tell if you're on the hyperactivity spectrum. Anyway, moving on. So why the dramatic either black or fucking have a slushy, like full on milk ice cream?
Because everything in between tastes bland or like warm milk.
So why not like? So the thing is that I don't go all the way milk.
Right.
I do either black with sweetener, or sometimes just black, no sweetener, no nothing. But if I am gonna do a dash of something, it is because the beans are either blonde or light roast, where they're a little bit more the spike in that like flavor profile is a little bit more. So I just want to reduce it as opposed to I'm drinking milk now.
See, here's the thing. I tried that,
Yeah.
and all I could taste was the basically watered down creamer, whatever it is. The coffee pinch tasted more like bad after flavor of like cold coffee than it does anything else. So What I did to compensate is if I'm gonna put creamer in, which I usually do every day, I have 1 or 2 cups
Yeah.
with French
you,
vanilla.
do you do flavored? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I do regular coffee and Coffee Mates French vanilla. Okay,
Hmm.
and it has to be Coffee Mates because that's the version of French vanilla I like. I have
So that's
noticed that I appreciate Dunkin' Donuts version of French vanilla too in their cold
okay.
coffees. Yeah. I have tried
So
expanding out. I'm not a snob with coffee, and
yeah,
I don't mean that
that's what I was gonna
derogatorily.
ask.
Yeah,
Like not at home, but when you go somewhere, do you just like
I usually
they're black or give me milk?
if I get from, let's say, I used to get breakfast from Taco Bell whenever I would drop the kiddo off at school.
Yeah.
On the way home, I would get $6-7 worth of breakfast, and that would usually be like a coffee, a couple of sandwiches, maybe a coffee roll. I fucking love coffee rolls.
Yeah.
And it would just be black coffee, and I liked it. It was good. It's arguably shitty coffee. It's poor man's coffee, but hey, it tasted good. It was fine. If I go to Starbucks, I get 1 drink and 1 drink only. Triple grande mocha, 1 pump of vanilla. That's all I get. I don't get anything else.
Mm.
And it's because I'm used to that flavor, the flavor combination. I got that from my dad, who offered me the knowledge that the 1 pump of vanilla isn't for flavoring. It is to, even though it does offer the flavoring, right? But the point of it
Right.
is to bring down the grittiness of the mocha, so that the mocha and the
So
vanilla work together instead of you chewing on your drink.
yeah, the cafe place at work. I fucked up, and at this point, I've not had the social acumen to tell the lady to unfuck herself because she's using dark chocolate
I fucking love dark chocolate.
squirt. No, I do too.
Mhm.
But a dark chocolate squirt when you already like I love dark chocolate espresso beans, but drinking it,
That can be rough. I can see that.
it is it is bitter as fuck. And it's one of those where it's not even the brain freeze or the potential spike in like immediate intake of caffeine. It's just like, oh fuck, man, that was bitter.
You better
And
correct that soon because you're gonna start getting a taste for it.
so I stopped getting it.
That's a way to
I
fix
just
it.
don't
Yeah.
get it.
I
I
was-
just don't get it anymore. I went the complete opposite direction. I went, can I just get a caramel one? And she's like, oh, do you want the extra? So here's the thing. And here's I gave you the movie. Let me give you the prequel.
Okay.
For about a month, every other day I was getting one, and I was asking for an extra shot of espresso.
Mhm.
She was giving me an extra pump of dark chocolate
Instead of an extra
and
shot of espresso.
because she understood shot as pump.
Oh.
Older Korean,
Yeah,
very nice lady. And at a certain point I looked over and I saw her make the 2 espressos, right? And then pour them into the ice. And I saw her pour the milk, and then I saw her do 1, 2, 3 pumps of dark chocolate, and I'm like, wait, oh no,
No,
oh
no,
no.
no, no.
So the next time, I was like, hey, iced mocha, extra shot, please. And this time it was a younger Hispanic girl that was at the teller, and it was a Korean lady that was making it instead of doing both back and forth. And the girl looks over, looks at me, and it's her shot of espresso, right? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And she's like, oh hey, name, 3 espresso, 2 chocolate. and the lady kind of caught herself like, wait, have I been doing this wrong the entire time?
Oh
And
no.
she looks over at me and like, do you still want the extra shot of chocolate? And I was like, yes.
Oh.
I felt so bad
No,
because it was
no,
a lost in
no.
translation thing, right?
Let
And
her recover.
so I haven't gotten the mocha in like 4 months now.
You wanna know
I've
what I
just
would
gotten
do?
bangs.
So,
I've just
okay,
gotten bangs and Red Bulls in the morning with like a V8 or some hard-boiled eggs or something, but I don't do the mocha anymore.
dude,
She ruined it for me.
I can't not.
Uh,
Okay, we there was a coffee place we went to. I think it was a Starbucks a long time ago, and I would go there, every other day, every day, whatever. And
mhm.
I ran into something similar of the same problem. Only it was they weren't they would either put no whip on top, or the whip would be gushing out of the top of the cup. Okay,
Yeah.
or they would just get me a cold version, which I'll order on occasion, a cold version of my drink, or a
Yeah.
hot. Like they wouldn't ask. No matter how many times I'd been there, it seemed like I would get a different variation of the drink. And at one point, I figured out how to say or how to correct them on the whip situation. And I was like, the last
Well,
time I
what
got,
was what you wanted? Like
I just
just
wanted a light
the
amount.
dome?
No,
Like the
no,
dome?
nope. I just wanted because
Okay.
I prefer it hot. I'll get the drink
Mhm.
cold once in a while, but I prefer it hot even on hot days. I prefer it
Mhm.
hot, so I'll get it hot. And even then, they would still put so much whipped cream it would come out the little hole and just like whatever. So what I started doing was, can you put just a little bit of whip? I only really like it to keep from burning my mouth in the first few sips because it coats the
Oh,
mouth.
smart,
So I gave
smart,
them a
smart.
reason to latch onto
Uh-huh.
instead of "you're fucking this up, please stop" to
You're dumb.
"I've changed
Right.
how I do my drink."
Help me help you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like it's so
So,
I feel like you
yeah.
could be like, I used to like it, but for some reason it's starting to be too much. So I want it with just 2 squirts of dark
So
chocolate
here's
now.
the thing. I think at one point I may have fucked up and agreed to the dark chocolate pump instead of the milk chocolate pump.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because I was doing keto back then, and she was like, "Oh, this one's sugar free," and I was like, "Bet, let's do it." Uh,
It's sugar
and
free and you get bitter beer face and you'll love it. It's great.
yeah, and then I have regrets now. So many regrets. It's just I will try to correct it if it becomes an issue. If you say that it's already an issue, agree to disagree.
Well, speaking of regrets,
Regrets, yes.
uh, you brought something to my attention that I am somewhat confused on.
Oof. Yeah. So okay. So we've talked separately, and then episode 1 we covered the Nvidia. You were laudatory, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like great for
To
the tech,
to be
but
clear, I was
it's
laudatory
still
on the second half.
yeah the tech,
I didn't give
not
2 squirts of
the
piss about the graphics cards because I knew those were shit,
right.
overpriced, not worth the time, so I don't even pay attention to it. I'm actually more excited that they're coming out because that means the 30 series is going down in price. So I'll be able to upgrade from my 2070 to a 30 series
Ideally, yes.
here pretty soon.
I mean, and then just might as well make a streaming machine at that point.
Yeah, well, the 2070 is perfect for that. I mean, a 1080
Yeah.
is perfect for that, but
So okay, when the Nvidia press event happened, the 4090 and 2 tiers of the 4080 were announced. When when you announce a vehicle, let's say, I don't know, the fucking Ford Explorer, there will always be an immediate Ford Explorer XT, Ford Explorer Lariat, Ford Explorer ST. There's tiers to it, and you understand that there's going to be differences. Maybe it's the engine. One is eco, four-cylinder eco drive, 3.0 liter. The other one is a V6. The other one's a V8 or whatever. That doesn't really apply when it comes to electronics. If you say it's a 4080, it's a fucking 4080.
Mm-hmm.
The differences that come is it's an EVGA 3080 that's this. And so it being straight up Nvidia OEM SKU, right off the bat, people were like, wait, what the fuck? Why are there two? Well, one is the 16 gig 4080. The lower tier is the 12 gig. So they announced in the press event, they announced all the various like the teraflop count, the qubit count, the RAM, everything, every single parameter to it. And everybody, including myself, that was looking at these numbers was like, wait, there's a steep drop from the 4090 to the 4080. Okay, maybe they did it because they're going to do the 4080 Ti. Well, there's still a huge difference. So the 4090 is come on, computer. Excuse me. The 4090, if I remember correctly, is a 24 gig. So regardless of the number, it is 24. So it's a 24 gig. And there's 16 to 24. That is an 8 gig difference in memory. If you're going to do a 4080 Ti, split the difference, then it's a 4080 Ti 20 gig, maybe. Okay, that's a
weird number.
Yeah, but why do we have a 4080 12 gig? That's literally half of the fucking 4090, which coincidentally, historically, has always been the 4070 or the 70 level. Has always been about half of what the 90 level is. So everybody was like, okay, so what the fuck you're charging us more, and you're upcharging, and you're going to sell it for something that should be a lower tier. So
how much is 4 gigs worth? Because the 12 to the 16 is only 4 gigs. What's the price difference? Or what
400.
was? I'm
400.
sorry, what?
Yeah, so the 4080 12 was going to be 1200.
Is there any other difference between the two?
I mean, everything else is lower. It's not just the memory. It's the memory size, the boost clock, and the core count.
So are just getting rid of the 12 gig, or are they making a 4070?
In name, it was 4080 for both, but they're not in the same category. So it'd be like looking at
what's the
Ford Focus and a Ford Explorer, and oh no, it's the same car. I'm like, nah, dog. Like, it's a completely different thing. This should be max a 4070. Like, why are you? So it's a compilation of factors, because there's a huge difference between the 90 and the 80. So arguably, like, you can make. So here's the thing: all the 80 Ti's have always been almost as good memory size, or slightly better than the 90 series. So like the 3080 Ti was basically a 3090 plus. So then how are you saying that a 4080 now, in the future Ti version, what it's going to double? How the fuck does that work? So this goes back to what you and I were talking about of the miniaturization, where, oh, this is a 30.5 series. They literally didn't improve the tech. They just jammed more but instead of compressing it, they kept it the same size. So that's why the cards are fucking humongous. So then the TI series would have been the real 40 series where they're miniaturizing it.
So they didn't come up with new ways to process. They just added more processing power and stacked it on top of itself. And they were like, see, our new generation, because we've been doing new generations every so often. We have to do a new generation.
So
Here you go.
The numbers are bigger than the 30 series, but it's because they have more space. So that's the thing about electronics, that it's more in same or smaller space. So they just did more in more space.
So
which,
I guess
like if you ran two 3080s, then okay, just dual link them, bridge them, and congrats, you have a 4080. Like, yeah. So price wise, I can't remember. I can try to look it up. Hold on.
$400 is like, even if the 480 12 gig was essentially the 470 4070, right?
Mm-hmm.
$400. Like, I would expect a $400 increase between a 4070 and a 4090. And I would expect a splitting of the difference between 4070 and 4080. But if you're saying between 4070, between one tier, $400, what's the difference between, like, what's the 4090 at? Do you know?
Price wise?
Yeah.
I think it's 18. Hold on. 4090 price.
$15.99.
$15.99. Yep.
And
all right. So 4080 price. So, and I'll give you something.
$11.99.
So 1200. Okay.
Okay.
So
that's $300.
300.
Okay. So
then
that's stretching it, but I can see that.
Hold on.
I mean, they're offering.
Yeah, I can't find the price for the 12 gig now that it's been canked. Oh, here's this. So 12 and 16. So the 4090 $15.99, the 4080 $11.99, and the 4080 12 gig $8.99. So they
nearly doubled the cost to go two tiers up.
Yeah. So, and this is why it's kind of like, okay, I get it, but it's already, you can't charge just because it's double. It doesn't mean that it's double price. Like anyway. So the core count for the 4090 is 16,384. For the 4080 12 gig, it was 7,680.
What was the 90?
Definitely more than 16,384.
Okay.
Versus 7,680. So it is more than double, right? The memory, obviously 24 gig versus 12. The memory interface with 384 compared to 192, which it is literally double. It was able to do, all of them are going to be able to do 4K, or actually 8K.
Here's the reason why this is a problem. Why this was a problem. I mean, it still is. Is people like you pay attention to the finer details, okay?
Yeah.
The average gamer, there's only one thing they care about.
Is it the newest thing?
No. The RAM.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's on the, because if all the rest of that mattered, it would also be prominent just like the RAM is, but it's not on the packaging, because they know, Nvidia knows, that the average consumer of these graphics cards really only cares about the RAM, because that somehow tells them the capability of the rest of the card. It does and it doesn't. In the long scheme of things, it does, right? The more RAM you assume, the better card you're getting, right? The better processing
Yeah.
power, the better ability, capabilities are expanded, etc. Because
No,
clearly,
it goes into higher frame rate, higher resolution,
Yeah.
the whole shebang. Yeah.
so the issue that I have is how much was the 4090? How many gigs of RAM?
24.
24.
Yep.
So what they were initially trying to do is split the 4080, which would probably be their most commonly sold one, since there isn't a 4070.
Yet.
So the 4080 would have been their most commonly sold. So they split that because 4080, just like 3080, just like 2080, just like 1080, their middle range cards sell the most because it gives the consumer the most they can get for
So
a decent price range within those cards.
the asterisk to all this is that the 90 card was not a thing until the 20 series. There wasn't a 1090.
Right, but there was
1080 Ti.
I was about to say there was a 1080 Ti, there was a blacklist.
80 was always right. The 80 was always the highest tier. There was the RTX Quattro, but that shit was meant for like no kidding graphic designers or for server computers or like shit that like why are you spending it can run 4 monitors at 4K, like bro, who the fuck, like
I mean developers need that
right,
but, like,
yeah, but
why does a consumer need that?
No, exactly. So them
I think I know what they're trying to do.
Go for it.
EVGA split.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? One of the things EVGA was really good at doing, and other companies followed suit, is creating applicable tiers. Yeah. Creating applicable tiers, right? So they would have a 4070 and they'd have 2 or 3 different versions because there's 2 or 3 different ways for cooling or for certain chipsets to be allowed to be changed out to be EVGA version chipsets or whatever.
Mm.
ROG started doing that too with their motherboards. ROG is Republic of Gamers. Hell, Intel started doing that. AMD started doing that. I don't know, which came first, chicken or the egg, but at the end of the day, EVGA helped kind of standardize the tiering process for graphics cards, right? I think
it was so, and it was done by EVGA and every other graphic GPU manufacturer in a way that it made sense.
Yes.
So like mine, the SKU for mine is highest RAM, or I'm sorry, second level RAM, highest everything else. So highest core count, highest fucking this, but it's at 10 gigs. There is a 12 gig EVGA 3080 that's a different SKU, but that's the one that's like stats are maxed out for everything. So they did the different tiers to it, but even the shittiest EVGA 3080 was still better than an Nvidia 3080. That's the thing, where it's like we took what you made and we still made it better.
That's because EVGA better understands cooling flow. They better understand chip position. They better understand size within the tower to allow more airflow in the tower. Like better power connectors.
And also, there's a factor here. EVGA for the 3090s and the 3080s, they're not return on investment. What's the profit for each card was under $100.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that before.
Whereas for Nvidia,
that's all profit.
It's half, at least half of. So, what?
I think what Nvidia tried to do is they tried to segment their cards the way EVGA does it, and I think they fucked up because arguably That 12 gig
Yeah.
4080, that's a 4070. That would be an EVGA 4070, and then there would be a 16
I would even argue
gig.
I would even argue it's a 4070 Ti.
Oh, I was about to say there would be a 16 gig
Yeah.
version with the same everything else, just more RAM, called the 4070
Yep.
Ti or the 4070
Yeah.
Signature Edition or whatever.
So the 1060 Super 1060 Super became the highest selling 10 series because of how approachable it was price wise. It wasn't because it was a Super, or I'm sorry, it was a 1060 Ti. Not Super. Supers came in 20 series. The 1060 Ti, it did, like, for half the price, it did 75% of what the 1080 Ti could do. So it was like, holy shit, that's the best bang for your buck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So fuck it, yeah, it sold so well. Then Nvidia themselves were like, we didn't know that the market could go this low. Let's do a 1050. That sold well, not as well as the 1060, but definitely better than the 1070, and the 1080 obviously was still king. So putting that to now, to the 40 series, with stats, without knowing price or just going off of stats, 4090 stays where it is. It is a 4090. 24 gigs is, and the fucking core count and everything is, that's 4090. What we know as the 4080 16 gig would be, like you're saying, maybe a 4070 Ti, or bare bones as is right now, a 4080. Maybe it should have been 18 gig, maybe a 20 gig.
It should have been 18.
Yeah.
It should have been 18.
But then the 4080 12 gig, that's a glorified 4070, maybe let's call it 4070 Ti or Super, because there's not that much left after RAM size after that. So 24, 16, 12, 10, 8, 6.
And at that point,
4.
it's not going to be able to
Like,
operate properly because it needs that RAM.
Your CPU can run those graphics. So like, what the fuck? Don't even get one. So if it is an issue that they tiered it, failure.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand that how much room they had between the 16 to the 24 gig, both RAM size and physical. The 4090 won't fit, will barely fit in my case, which is the Leon Lee XL. So the 4080 would be, can you see? Yeah, will be somewhere around here on the edge of the wood. The 4090 is going to be like to the red line. Like it is going to be massive, and that's just length, not even counting width. Like, my little capture card there won't fit because it's a 3 slot for the 4090, like legit 3 slot. Yes. So like you know what I'm talking about in the back with the hooks, right?
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
It's legit. It's a 3 hook. So the 4090 Nvidia is a 3 hook, a 3 slot. Whereas the I think it's the ROG that they decided to just to say that it's a 2 hook. They gave it 2 hooks, but there's so much room sideways. So like you're going to have to get a little stand for it. Otherwise that shit's going to fall off.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole miniaturization aspect to it going out the window, they didn't think of, oh, we should probably tell every case maker in the world that this is going to be an issue, because now everyone's going to run, like take the panels off and just because it doesn't fit.
I would like to know if other companies are going to follow EVGA, because you just brought up cases, right? Having to talk to every case company in the world.
Yeah.
all Nvidia would have to do is inform the third-party developers that take their chipsets and make their own cards out of them, hey, there's going to be a size difference. No matter what you do to the card, it's going to be bigger than the 30 series. It's the biggest card we've ever made. Okay, so if EVGA bounced, and what did you say before? 80% of their profit was GPUs, and 20% was other aspects of the tower.
For Gamers Nexus, 80% of their profit came from GPUs, whereas 20% of the margin came from everything else. But then it's the flip side where it was, I can't remember if it was like personnel or like effort that the company put into it, was the opposite. So like 20% for everything, for all the profit, was 80% of the personnel, whereas, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they put more effort into the 20% than they did into the 80.
Right, because it was very, the development for the graphics cards is very tied to what Nvidia does themselves. They're not, they are improving them, but it doesn't take much to do so because Nvidia's kind of been sloppy. So it's just like, okay, yeah, it's easy to make this better, so we don't need to put that much into it. Where I would have agreed with you maybe like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month now, was that Intel kind of shit the bed when it came to the GPUs. So Intel wants to get into the GPU market because AMD, their 60, 70, 6080, and 6085 or 95 or whatever, the new XTs, they went for competition to NVIDIA's 3070 and 3080. And only one of their SKUs was competing for the 3060, 3050 area. So Intel was like, bet, let's get in on this. But rather, because we're still playing catch up with this industry, with this facet of the industry, let's focus more on the small stuff. So we will have all the dudes that are like, I'm just playing Fortnite or I'm just playing Minecraft, they're gonna have a splendid time in the next year and change, because both Intel, AMD, and probably Nvidia, if they're smart, they're gonna be competing for like the 3050 to 3060 super area, which is the lower tier. So now why do I say that Intel shit the bed? Their cards, numbers wise, are same price as AMD's lower tier cards, but they perform worse. So,
but they're going off of brand recognition for their pricing, guaranteed.
Right, and so my guess is that they're going to do pre-build market is going to be their jam. They're going to be, oh hey, here's the new 13, probably a 5.
Yeah.
Here's the new 13500 KF, and it's designed to work with our i660, right?
And at that point, they probably offer a lower cost technically on the card if it's in a pre-built.
Yep.
Which then puts it in line with the single sale cards of AMD by themselves. That's not bad, because that discourages single sale card sales, but encourages pre-build sales.
Pre-builds.
Because it's a new card, and it does what you want it to do at a lower price point. Don't worry about the insides.
Very little difference between unlocking and overclocking an i5 series to an i9. Like, I've ran i5s overclocked to the point that they were performing better than overclocked i9s. The only reason that the i9 still wins was core count. It doesn't have, it's almost, it sometimes is literally double the amount that you see in the i5. So, okay, well, it's lower clock, but it has more cores. So, okay, well, you get more computation done out of the higher core count. So yeah, I mean, they could probably do that, but they're going to have to actively, and let's say they do, Intel goes into the pre-build more, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to get rid of them. They're going to have to actively state that, oh, why mix your components when they're built here at the same plant, and whatever fucking marketing they want to take. The issue with that is the same issue that Nvidia is dealing with, because when the two SKUs for the 4080 were announced, people in the EU started looking into that, because you can't advertise the same model number when it is two different things. So 16 versus the 12 gig, and EU being the EU, they're like, no, dog, like, do you want to sell in Europe? Because we're not going to let you.
I mean, so this is where my argument before came into, where the layman they only see the difference in the RAM. Like me, I only see the difference in the RAM. I don't really care, because I assume that the higher the RAM, the better the inside of the card is. The rest of the inside of the card is, which 9 times out of 10 is true. So the only way that wouldn't be an issue is if 12 gigabyte, 16 gigabyte, 24 gigabyte was a part of the model name. So if it's 4080 12 GB, that is a different card. Thank you. That is a different card than the 4080 16 GB. So I think I'd argue that unless that is what happened, unless the EU was like, these are too similar, you can't sell here unless you make unless you delineate between the two more than you have.
Yeah.
Unless that is what happened, I don't know if that's the case, but holy scapegoat Batman, if that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Like, because you see, the article is showing, well, there just really wasn't. It was, we're just not gonna, it's not. It just doesn't make sense. Like,
it's. Do you remember or Nintendo's, like, please understand? It's very much like that, where it's like, we fucked up, or I mean, Nintendo obviously did the I'm sorry we fucked up. Whereas Nvidia is, fuck you, we're not doing it now. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry that we hurt your feelers.
What are they going to do with all
out.
these? What are they going to do with all these faux 470s then?
So they had just.
Are those going into pre-builds?
No, they will not. They're going to become unobtainium. They're going to be all. So here's 2 things for this. 3, actually. First, the box manufacturing had already started, so there's thousands of boxes that are
those are going to be scalped straight to hell, dude.
Yeah, so that are very nicely, obviously, I don't know if you've seen the card boxes. They're very nice boxes, but they're fucking printed with 4080 12 gig, so they're out there somewhere. Number 2, the production had just started for the 4080 12 gig. So now it's like, okay, now we need to start taking all the machining apart, because it's set up to dye the silicon from this, right? So they're gonna have to fucking tear apart half their manufacturing right now. Third, which I don't know, like, we didn't get much information from Jay's 2 cents, Lex, or Gamers Nexus, or can you tell the academic in me, Lexus Nexus, or Linus. Like, we didn't get any information as to why EVGA bounced, But now the speculation is, did they get a heads up that this whole shit show from Nvidia was going to happen, and EVGA was just like, we're out? So okay, the third,
EVGA wouldn't have been able to.
they would have been told. Yes,
Right,
they
no,
would
no,
have.
No. I mean, they wouldn't have been able to recover from that.
Correct, Mundo. So now,
Holy
the
shit.
third thing, the other GPU manufacturers have already been given the stats and the templates and fucking everything for what the 4070 will look like. And guess what? It doesn't look at all like the 4080 12 gig.
Of course it doesn't. Why would it? That was set to be
So
the 4080 12 gigabyte. Why would it look like the 4070?
So then here's the question regarding all the different tiers. If there was going to be a 4080 12 gig, right? If there was going to be, if there wasn't any backlash, it was going to happen. What does that put the 4070 at? A 10 gig?
And then
or an 8 gig?
You may as well buy. Oh, that would be 8.
Because then you do need a TI, right?
That would be. Oh yeah, that would be 8, and the 10 would be the TI. Yep. And then.
So then, what's the 4060?
Hang on, cat interruption.
A fucking 6? Like, bro, go fuck yourself. Like, there's no way that the 40 series is going to be. And now here's the downside: if it doesn't end up being a resounding success because of the crypto market going to shit, and that's 75% of people that bought GPUs, are they going to have enough money for R&D for the 50 series?
Don't even bring up the 50 series. What they've done.
It's Nvidia, so Jensen doesn't learn. He obviously didn't learn for the 30 series during the pandy. So
what they've done, it sounds like, is they've essentially rewrapped a 3080 or a 3090, made it a 4070 with probably lower RAM, and are probably going to sell it for twice as much. And they tried splitting the 4080 into 2 different RAM types with a $400 price difference. That still pisses me off.
Yeah.
With a $400 price difference, which it probably amounts power-wise, like processing power-wise, to a like 4090 signature series, or I keep bringing up the Black series. There was another name for it. It was like classified, I think is what it was called.
For what?
For 1080 or 2080. It was a classified series from, I'll say it was a blue icon. I think it was 2080. Either way, what it sounds like is they tried.
Dude, that was the GTX 780 classified.
No, there was one after that.
That was 7 series.
No, there was more than that. Hang on.
Oh, 1080. Yeah, 1080 classified.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it sounds like what they're doing is not only have they split their card series too many times with the 40 generation, but they're trying to copy their best performing third-party producer
and failing at it.
Not just failing at it, but showing that the only thing they know fully about how customers interact with their graphics cards is that customers either interact with the lowest end or the highest end. When in actuality, their third-party developers, customers interacted best with their lowest end and middle. The high end sold well, don't get me wrong. It sold well because of how expensive it was and still sold units, which is selling well. But the best performance was from their low and middle tiers for the price point. And it sounds like what happened is my cat is being a tyrant.
She just wants to be in.
She is parading around the office like, what aspect of this have I not touched my butthole on yet?
Yeah.
They're showing that they don't understand anything other than the highest sale point possible. Instead of going for the bang for the buck side and selling the shit out of that, which would net you more money than only making the highest available, then they tried segmenting the middle because, consumers like options. Oh, whoops, we fucking called it a 4080. Like, I sound like I'm speaking gibberish because that's the best way I can understand what the fuck they were thinking. Not only calling the 4080 two different things, but then having a 4070 in development that was nothing like the lower tiered 4080. Or that wasn't the same design.
So the only thing that I can find is like graphs showing the prices, not units sold. So like
they're still in the throes of the initial range of selling times. You're probably not going to see very good or accurate numbers on those yet. You got to wait another month, 2 months for that.
Yeah.
Like it's like every quarter of a fiscal year.
Well, let's just try to see if there's a 20 series. 20 series units sold.
There should be.
Because it would be very interesting to see. Yeah, it literally sticks to. Oh, here we go. This is. This is million units sold. Just overall, no breakdown. So huge spike between quarter 117 to quarter 3 to quarter 318, and then quarter 1, quarter 319. There's a huge dip, which
was the 30 series? When did that come out?
20. So it was
So
announced November of, and that's when it started coming out, and then by Pandy, that's when they were hitting the streets.
They announced on the dip of the 20 series, which makes sense. Yep. Okay, so they announced on the dip. Dude, this is somebody panicked. In doing this, EVGA bounced as a result, or what ended up happening was I am willing to bet that a conversation was held where this was presented to the major third-party players, EVGA probably having the most say or stake because they probably give the most to Nvidia as far as sales. But I'm willing to bet that an EVGA representative was like, this isn't going to go well for us. You need to change this so that we can sell your product. And Nvidia was like, well, we've already started it, so this is how it's going to be. And EVGA was like, well, I guess we're leaving then.
Oh, shit.
Because we don't even put a whole lot of money into this. We put more money into our other shit, so we're just going to expand that. Or I wouldn't be surprised if, like, end of quarter 2, quarter 3 next year, EVGA comes out with their own lineup of GPUs.
So they actively asked that during the interview with the CEO for EVGA, and he was like, at this point, there is zero interest to remain in the GPU market.
That conversation must have shit all over EVGA's Cheerios.
So,
not the conversation you just talked about, the one that I think may have happened.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm saying, like some fucking yelling occurred and somebody's mother was insulted, and EVGA is like, I'm fucking done with this, and we're never touching GPUs again.
The interesting part about this is that both Jensen and CEO for EVGA are Chinese nationals. And I do think that there was like a whole lot of save face type of situation cultural behind the scenes. Yeah. Something to the point of like, okay, I see you. and some inner, whether social or cultural, apprehension and negativity happened. Yeah. So to make things better, can we discuss God of War?
We can, yes. Well, first, can we touch on Gotham Knights?
Okay.
Because
yes, go for it.
I find it comedic.
Okay.
Well, okay. So so first off, it's essentially a continued offshoot of the Gotham series, the Gotham Knight series, or the what's it
Supposed
called?
to be.
Arkham. Thank you. Of the Arkham series. I'm going to say this now, and the reason why this is actually a good transition is because, especially leading into the God of War topic, this is the reason why people would want a 40 series is God of War. The funny thing is, you'll do just fine with your 30 series. Promise. The game will look amazing. It'll be great. Alex has frozen. Okay. The reason why this relates to the 40 series conversation we were just having is a lot of people want the 40 series for games like God of War. The reason why I want to touch on Gotham Knights is, one, the reviews for it have come out, and according to the article that I've read, I have not personally played the game, okay? But according to the articles that I've read, it's doing weirdly. It's not that it's doing bad, it's not that it's doing good, it's that a lot of people don't like certain aspects, a lot of people like other aspects of it, and what it sounds like is a shitty pitch on an established series to try to continue a storyline that probably should have ended and a new one started.
Well, that's the thing, that it did end, right? So
I mean,
by the
did
time
it?
that the third,
Like,
well, I mean, it's the same as frickin' Independence Day with Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith. The fucking it was a one-off, and then 20 years later, we're bringing it back and just retconning whatever was needed. The third installment in the Arkham series made it very clear, like, okay, we got it, we did it, GG's for everyone. Introducing this game, especially from the aspect that it has that there's co-op involved, because now it's everybody in the Bat family except for Bruce. Spoiler alert, he's dead. It's a
there
different
were air
game.
quotes there for those that aren't watching with your eyes.
Yes. It's a money grab is how I'm seeing it.
Okay.
Let's just keep the bandwagon, the cash cow going, and relate it to this very successful thing to get this going. Where I really agree with what you're saying, that it's a mixed review. Had they just not connected it to Arkham, it would have done fine by itself.
So, I stopped caring about the Arkham series after the first game.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. I cared through the second.
So
not so much the third, but
the second one introduced the Batmobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was the whole fiasco where Warner Brothers like took it off the shelves, quote unquote, and fixed it and then put it back up for sale, that kind of thing, right? So, hang on. Crying out loud. So, the issue that I took is I already played the first game. And if the only difference at its core is a different location with, let's say, one or two additional mechanics, like the Batmobile,
right?
Why am I paying full price for a different location. What would that normally be in other games? That would be an expansion.
Yeah.
That would be DLC. It may be a little pricey DLC, but it would be DLC. So, for me, the Arkham series, or the first game anyway, I loved the game. I thought it was great. I actually went out for all the Riddler statues. I went out for all the combo achievements. I went out for everything, right? It was great. Solid storyline. Phenomenal voice acting by everybody involved. Perfect gameplay for the type of game that it was. You felt the power in the attacks as Batman. You felt like yeah, you're not killing them, but they're not living very long after you're done rocking them, right? But then there was also like the stealth aspects. I felt like a fucking bat. Like that shit, everything hit. Hit perfectly. What did they expand
Because it was all the aspects of what Batman is.
Yeah, but done
Fucking
well.
League of Shadows, Ninja, Brawler, Detective.
Yeah.
All three are in the game.
But so then what was expanded on?
I mean, continuation of the story. Kinda.
Okay, no, and that's that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I already like the gameplay. You know, if nothing needs to be changed, maybe damage his helmet or make him use a different helmet for a different type of detective mode or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or have detective mode operate slightly differently because you're going up against a different main bad guy now or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or the Batmobile. Now it's a larger area, so you need to be able to teleport. Okay, well, put a fucking a minigame based mechanic in the driving and add some achievements to that and some, make Riddler statues show up there or fucking the Ivy plant where whatever the collectible would be, right?
Yeah.
Throw it all in there. Like expand on the thing that differentiates that game from the previous one. Okay. I didn't see that. All I saw was a different area and a car. But it was the same game. Don't get me wrong, that's fine if you're expanding the original game. If it's a DLC, if it's an expansion, great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pay for it because then I'm already expecting the same gameplay. So I won't be disappointed when I get the same gameplay. But if you're making me pay, first off, you're making me wait however long till it comes out. Then you're making me pay full price. Then there's a collector's edition. Then that there's missions taken out that are exclusive to each console. Then there's pre-order bonuses. So you're galvanizing everything and blowing it up into something that it really doesn't rate. And then I just assumed that was happening to the third one, so I didn't even bother paying attention to it at all after the misgivings of the second one. But when I say I enjoyed the first one, I was legitimately terrified to get caught by the Scarecrow. And this is from a fucking third person camera. Like, where's the terror, right? But that's because it was so well done. Those sequences were amazing. So for me, Gotham Knight, does it my initial impression was a fucking high-end mobile game where people could join in on a session as, ooh, I get to pick Red Hood. Ooh, I get to pick fucking this. Ooh, I get to pick this. And it turns into a gacha game, is what it sounded like. The more I read...
the graphics look like a mobile game.
Well, the graphics to me look like what now Arkham Asylum, or the first Arkham game, looked like. Back then, it looked amazing. Now, it looks like what Raid Shadow Legends looks like almost. Okay, right? But back then that was perfect. That's what we were looking for that kind of game.
Yeah.
I don't mind the further fleshing out of this version of Gotham, of this version of DC. I'm a huge for anybody that's watching this video with the other screen or whatever, pull us up real quick. I just want to show you guys the books. I've got probably 3 different directions. Hell, I've got a series of noir Marvel books. Noir, 4 of them. That's not the the Marvel universe we're used to, even in recent comics or whatever. It's a completely different offshoot. Has no impact on the main storyline, no impact on the main universe. Nobody gives a shit about it. I've got 4 of the books sitting right there. They're phenomenal. They're great books.
Yeah.
It's okay to continue to flesh out a newly generated world. I don't recall any. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. You have more knowledge on this than I do, and anybody that watches on the other monitor, go ahead and push us back again. But correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't recall any comic book or graphic novel storyline that had the Joker not only take over Arkham Asylum. That's happened many times. Take over Arkham Asylum, but have stories where Calendar Man didn't also fuck with Batman at the same time, because he doesn't in the first of the arc. Like, he's in there, sure, but he doesn't.
Right.
Nothing really happens. There's a theory that he actually like puppeteered everything in that game, but that's a good theory. But like, they removed some elements, they kept some nostalgia based elements, but the whole idea of a toxin, while not original, right? Joker's done that before. The fact that it turns around and bites him in the ass and he ends up dying as a result of it, like, that aspect. I mean, Batman turns into Joker a little bit in the second one, right? Or the third one? One of them, not the first one.
Yeah.
The one with Catwoman in it. Because there's the last mission of her DLC is you being able to choose whether you go away with the money or go save Batman. But I have no problem with the world being fleshed out. Even old graphics, fine. You know what? Whatever. There's a lot more to that game than there was in the first one. There's RPG style elements, only in that there's loot that you can grind for, stuff like that. I think that's great. Items to loot up your version of Red Hood, that's fucking cool. That sounds cool to me. That sounds like a time that I would enjoy. The problem is, if they didn't expand, and if based on what I've read and what little I've seen, it's basically 4 or 5 different versions of the first game's version of Batman. Why? What if I want to play Red Hood and kill everybody I meet? You know what I mean? Like, if Red Hood is in there and he's shown as a playable character, I'm gonna murder some people.
It's not year one Red Hood. I'm just saying
it's still Red Hood. Like, no, I get that.
Yes,
I get that. Like, shoot him in the kneecaps.
Rehabilitated.
But let me shoot him in the fucking kneecaps then. Make them feel the pain of being red. Like, if I'm Red Hood, they should be more terrified of me than Nightwing. Because Nightwing will put you in the hospital. I'll get you this close to the fucking grave with literally every encounter. Even, rehabilitated, sure. I'm still going to blow your kneecaps away. You're not walking. You can recover from Nightwing shit. I'm going to make you remember me the rest of your life.
Jason has gone through some changes, all right? He's
he's
taking care of himself mentally.
Is there a difference? Is that difference there? Like, do you see a tortured Red Hood that wants that is teetering on the edge?
Like year 1, year 2, fucking Red Hood, not
before this game. What was the version of Red Hood?
Oh, I mean, in this universe, yeah.
So he goes from mass murderer to.
Well, I don't think it's addressed what the
evangelical
timeline is, like
okay,
how
that's
long
fair.
it's been.
That's fair.
So.
But again, like, is there enough difference?
I don't know.
Other than like Nightwing punches and Red Hood shoots a little cap gun. Like, is there is all I'm getting is that the mechanics. The one negative thing that I'll say loudly about the first Arkham game is the combat was both too complicated and way too easy. It was too complicated if you were brawling 15, 20 things at once, and there were many times that game put you through that. But it was also really easy to do that because you could immediately break out of a punch to counter somebody at the other end of the room because the little squigglies came off their head.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine, right? That worked for the game, but then it got old real fucking quick. The reason why Devil May Cry, which is another beat 'em up with the same kind of thing where you're just continuously beating up groups of enemies, the reason why that worked and it's that style beat 'em up isn't really working here is games like Devil May Cry were so flashy and allowed you to integrate so many things that looked complicated but really weren't, that it overshadowed the repetitiveness of it to a degree. Okay? Because you had different weapon swap capabilities.
So that could arguably be told about any games that are back
Oh,
to
absolutely.
back to back.
No, absolutely.
So,
But that-
dude, it's a parade at your place, huh?
It's I think that's her telling me something, but we got time.
Yeah.
It's you're absolutely right, which is why Devil May Cry came into a lot of issues on the later end of the series.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the exact same issues with the Arkham series, now the Gotham series, or the Knight series, whatever you want to call it.
The fact that we're on the 4th installment in the same series, that may be a bit of an issue.
The 4th
because-
installment with really how much difference is there? Again, if it's just location, if you took the coloring and
Well,
the everything out,
here's
it's the
the
same
argument
geometry.
So to transition to God of War,
Yeah.
the story is what's keeping us enthralled, right? The terror of Scarecrow, the minutia of Ivy and Riddler, like there's so many things that are, I would say, nice to haves, but then there's the, oh shit, this story is good,
Mm-hmm.
which then why change the other shit? Like there's shit that needed to be changed, and maybe missteps with like the Batmobile, got it, but I don't know. So for God of War, the story was amazing for 2018 God of War. I've replayed it fucking 4 times. It's the only game in the last 10 years that I've done that for. And the new, what we've seen from God of War Ragnarok builds on it, but it doesn't change it. You have extra shit now. You have extra attacks, extra animations, but the story is so enthralling still that they're just nice to haves. They're not the selling point of, like, I don't know, a Dark Souls where gameplay is the main thing.
But
right?
The story isn't just enthralling; it's proper storytelling. Because, from my understanding, this game now has an older Atreus, not 20 years later, a few years later. Yeah,
yep.
A few years later. So you still get snippets of the old Atreus, but now he knows. Now he's had time to think about it. Now he's got a better understanding of his father. But he's still confused because he's still a child. So you can actually see that in the storytelling.
I was rewatching the trailer again today.
Mhm.
It didn't hit me until now, and I've seen this fucking trailer multiple times. The trailer starts off with Kratos starting a fire in a cave, and Atreus, Loki, comes in with a deer on his shoulder and throws it down like, "Hey, Dad, I just hunted. We can eat now." The first mission in God of War was you as Kratos teaching him how to hunt.
Yep. So there's immediate showing of growth.
He's already gained so much.
Where is that in Gotham Knight?
So I'm not going to defend Gotham Knight for story because I haven't seen enough to know if the story is good.
Okay.
I just, the familiarity of the gameplay was like, oh, okay, I know how to play this. Like, I know that I'm supposed to batarang up here and then look around for my escape routes and fucking grapple hook over here, jump down, do this, and okay, mission over. Yeah,
that's why I think it should have been. it should have been an expansion. Maybe a $30
Yeah.
one, sure, not 10 or 15, because it's a whole new area, new characters, new story, sure. So
So
$30,
my question
$40.
for
But
that is maybe because was it all systems all at once, as opposed to like system exclusive and then released to the next?
has it released to the next? Because this article's only saying Switch, but it had to have been
Yeah.
on
Let's see.
other places. Platforms: Series X, S, PlayStation 5, and Windows. And I guess the Switch as well, but that's not updated.
Yeah, PS5, Xbox, PC, Switch. Okay, so all at once. I don't know if it would have been realistic to pump it out as an expansion to all of them, but then again, I'm not
Maybe not, but
really tracking.
that's why you offer it as an expansion. Then you make a new game off of the stuff that people appreciated, and you expand off the stuff people appreciated from the expansion.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, the Court of Owls is a great comic arc, so I'm hoping that the comic or the story for this is what's keeping this on the positive, because the gameplay to me is kind of garbo. Like you said, it's a mobile game.
yeah,
so.
that's the feeling that I get is Raid Shadow Legends slightly better looking, maybe. Like, I don't know. But speaking of slightly better looking,
Yeah.
I have not played the first of the new God of War series.
Right.
I'm thinking about playing it because I wouldn't mind knowing the story. Yeah, it is. I wouldn't mind knowing the story of Thor, because I like this rendition of Thor. I'm a huge fan of taking established what's it called, Arcana, established mythology.
Yeah.
And spinning a level of equatable social realism to it. For the past 10 years, we've done a lot of real life variations of Disney movies, gritty versions of movies. Hell, there was even a gritty version once Winnie the Pooh became open to everybody. One of the first things that was made was this mass murdering version of Winnie the Pooh that eats, he and Piglet flat out eat Eeyore. Holy shit. But we've got this obsession with making things, instead of using them as an escape, hey, this is how things could be, or hey, this is a nice life, or hey, this is a completely unrelated separate life, blah blah blah. Now it's no, I need to feel as fucking downtrodden and beat up as I do now, but in a video game where I can do something about it.
Have you ever seen the tweet capture that's I made my sim to have the same life as me, and when I logged in the next day, it had killed itself because it was so depressed. So
I am not surprised. Hell, I might even start a fucking the Sims 4 playthrough
just to see what
just to see.
Which, by the way, did you see? I think Sim 4 is the newest one, or is. So have you seen, I don't know if you saw this on Reddit or wherever, if you have bought all DLCs for Sims, it's about $1,000. Yeah, no thanks.
It's like a tycoon. It's like a tycoon game.
Yeah. It's an addiction. Please
see somebody.
Stop it. See somebody.
Stop.
Stop it. So what I love, and I've said this multiple times about God of War, the tagline for God of War 3 was find out how Greek gods died. And you were like, what? And within 20 minutes, spoiler alert, you're killing Poseidon. Like, what the fucking fuck did I just do? You're killing Hermes. You're killing fucking everyone gets fucked over in God of War 3. And it's fucking amazing. For this game, I am so glad that they took it as, yeah, it's still a punch and slash type of game, but the man that's doing that is a dude that tried to run away from his past, didn't come to terms with his new present, and his past it caught up to him. The introduction of the conflict between his wife and Odin, highly telegraphed, but at the same time appreciated, because all we've seen in the trailer so far is his conflict with Thor. And the Thor version, we're not getting happy-go-lucky Chris Hemsworth, whimsical Taika Waititi movie. We're getting Thor used to be the weapon that Odin would send places to destroy everything. And he is a brutal, violent individual. And now Kratos and Loki are in the crosshair for Mjolnir. So I'm very excited for it. Corey Barlog, not Balrog, Barlog, the main director for God of War for Santa Monica studio, chose to make this a 2 installment series instead of 3, because Sony Studios did ask the question, hey, do you want to make this 3? And I'm pretty sure you still haven't seen Raising Kratos.
Nope.
You fucking watch the shit. He didn't want to do it again. He was just like, nah, dog. Like, I'll be good with just doing it one more time, because I don't think we have the mental capacity to go through this another time after. So it's going to be jam-packed with story, cinematics, the whole fucking shebang, because if God of War 3 discover how Greek gods are no more, or whatever the tagline was, are we killing Odin? Because we don't see Odin in any of the trailers for this one. Discover how Norse gods are no more. If we're applying the same, metric,
one of 2 directions would have to happen at the end of this, and this is coming from somebody that didn't play the one before Ragnarok. Okay, for good storytelling, there's one of 2 ways. If you have no intention of continuing the story, right? You can still do a cliffhanger, but it's an understood nothing's coming after this.
Yeah.
That cliffhanger being...
So, wait, no, pause.
Mm-hmm.
The Norse story, that's how they've been saying it. The Norse story ends with this one.
Okay.
So, spoiler alert, somewhat. Tyr, the god of war for Norse mythology, is shown in the trailers for Ragnarok, and we see a little bit of his actions in the first one, and what we see is Tyr in the middle of it, and it has the Tyr rune for war, which is also the rune for war. And then we see 4 realms on this board, and on the bottom we see the Omega symbol, and that's where Atreus asks Kratos, what is this one? I don't recognize this one. Oh, that's the symbol of war for where I'm from. And The others were Aztec. I think Aztec. I don't Mayan maybe. And like Japan, and I can't remember the other one. So maybe we're gonna go to new mythology
okay,
after this. But
well-
so it's not end of the characters.
What
It's just end of this chapter in the.
then what's gonna then a good storytelling would be Odin has been dead. Yeah, Odin has been dead, and Thor
is just holding on to the good old days,
or he is begrudgingly being used by War, who is
Tyr.
who is conspiring with other aspects of War for end of days, for the ultimate end of days, and Omega War already lost.
Look at
because
you
of
your fucking
Kratos.
degree to use
Because of Kratos.
That is fucking good. So guess what? So to build on that, the
Mhm.
misdirect, all the trailers we see that Odin imprisoned Tyr. So we're introduced
that's
to
all
Tyr
background,
in
guaranteed. That's all background.
We see Tyr like in a cell.
That's historical.
And Kratos is like helping him. So
It's either that is historical, or that is Tyr getting Kratos to do his bidding without Kratos realizing it, which was one of the things that pissed Kratos off.
For killing Ares, yeah.
So here's the thing: we saw Kratos in the first 3 games go banana sandwich and just fucking murder everyone. Then we see him go the exact opposite way and just pure peace, right?
Yep.
Now I think what's going to happen is he's going to be forced to accept that either he's the new War, okay, which I mean it's literally called God of War. So either
New
he
war
becomes
for multiple realms.
Yes.
Oh shit, big dog.
So he becomes the connecting ties to ensure the end of days doesn't happen.
Interesting.
So instead of him making everybody else make the ultimate sacrifice to him, of which he is still unwilling to do, as you've seen, because you're the player character, you don't want to die. You're unwilling to accept death. You go out of your way and kill everything in your way to ensure you and your son don't die.
I mean, he does kill Hades in a really cool way too. So like,
I mean,
he
like
can't die in Greece at least.
So, but you see where I'm getting at here. Good storytelling, which it looks like, because the first 3 God of Wars, like that was just to kill shit. That was to kill shit, have sex with harems, and fucking that's it.
Yeah.
This one is where you realize there's an obligation to your actions. You didn't just murder your way to the top. You forced an imbalance because that pantheon no longer exists because of you.
Yeah, and that's mentioned in the first one where. So there's a weird way that realms are. It's an unknown at this point, where it's is it geographic, like, and that's like there's borders, like is it Finno-Scandinavia? That's Norse world, that's Norse gods, and that's their realm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the Adriatic for Elysian gods? Then okay, sure, but it's not quite really stated how Tyr traveled to all these different places. It leaves it up in the air if it's geographic or if it was traveling to different worlds.
I remember part of your playthrough, and it didn't spoil anything for me because I had no clue how you got there, why you were there. I didn't care, right? But I do remember seeing a giant tree, and I remember the explanation of the use of the tree is that it didn't teleport you to a different physical location. It literally opened
basically
to a different reality.
It's a different dimension basically. and
But it was described as a world
everything
tree.
is kind of like the up, yeah, Yggdrasil. So basically, Yggdrasil. I was corrected. It's not Yggdrasil. It's Yggdrasil.
Mhm.
Um, sorry. Um, so it was basically kind of like the upside down in Stranger Things,
Okay.
where it's same. It just looks
Connects
different.
it. So it's same, but it connects everything.
Right. So like when it's still the same bridge, but it's in a different dimension where it's the same bridge, but everything around me looks different. Like there's different weather.
Did you ever see the show Fringe?
Yeah, same. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, then okay. So I think what might end up happening then is either Kratos has been manipulated this entire time because he's the only one, when pushed a certain direction, utilizing certain aspects of his life, he's the only one ultimately that can cancel out each of these pantheons until ultimately there's only one pantheon.
Converge all of them.
Yes, but they're not all, because they're all gods. They're all egomaniacal assholes who think that they are the sole controllers. They know the other realities or dimensions exist, but this is their world. It's their rules, and they'll be damned if you remove them from it or alter anything without their consent. Okay? So what's happening is the only way to kill a god, at least according to the Kratos era of games, is with another god. But Kratos,
a strong enough god to kill another god. Yep.
Kratos, to my understanding, isn't a god. But he is now, but he wasn't before, right?
No, he always
I thought
he's white. He's white because he's covered in the ashes
of his family,
wife and daughter.
Yep.
And the blood is representative of that, and the everybody that he killed, because he killed them. The powers, so it's double. So he's a demigod because he was born from Zeus, and he's a god because he took over for Ares after killing him.
Okay.
So Minerva, Athena, gave him.
Is he the only surviving?
Yes.
Member of that
Greek
pantheon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
he killed everybody else.
And he actively helps Tyr when he's gone out of his way to either kill or avoid every other god.
So far, yes.
So to me, good storytelling.
And he's killed gods for Norse mythology now. So
for me, good storytelling is he is being manipulated out of his dick hole and just doesn't know it. Because now he is the only surviving god of an entire pantheon. And what god is he? It's in the title. He's actively helping a Norse god of war.
If you just spoiled the fucking game for me, I hate you, but also fantastic. Fucking write your professors and tell them, hey, check this out, I predicted this.
I need to play the first one. I want to play the first one because I want to see all the nuances. I think worst case scenario, I'll watch
run it next week or whatever.
Yeah, there's gonna be something, but what I may end up doing is just watching like an hour-long YouTube video explaining the first three games, like all the cutscenes, so I can get the gist of it.
Yeah.
But I am almost guaranteeing that if you were to put the major plot points together chronologically, that you would see, first off, you would see a major shift. Like there is, and I think purposefully done this way, there is a huge gap between the original Kratos and the Kratos we have now. And I don't think it's just he has a son. Something occurred that either he doesn't remember, never talks about, whatever, where Loki's mother helped him out of, nursed him through, was his therapist or the equivalent of, whatever.
Right.
They fell in love. made a new god, which is also ironically part already established Norse pantheon.
So
That is already
yes
weird to
and
me.
no. On that little note, we're currently in. So they mentioned the time travel aspect and the weirdness of mythology through the world snake, the world serpent,
Mhm.
because when
Which dies, right? In the game before
no,
this. Don't you kill it?
No,
The giant world snake? Okay, so
no,
then
it's your friend.
what's
your friend.
what's the giant dead body that's been showcased for Ragnarok then? Or I might be thinking of something
Not
else.
for Ragnarok. So you see one of the giants in the first one that's been killed with his own chisel.
I might be conflating a playthrough or a scene from your playthrough and this. But so I'm actually really familiar with the time travel aspect of these kinds of stories because of
You are familiar?
Yes, because of a character named Vivek from the Elder Scrolls. And any of the nerds that are still watching or still listening just peed a little bit because Vivek is his own father and isn't at the same time.
Right.
Like multiple realities or multiple versions of him coming into godhood are all truth. None of them are lies. They all happened, but none of them happened at the same time. It's actually a very convoluted process, but so I am pretty familiar with that level of time travel.
Yeah, so in the game, it is told that Thor and Jormungandr will fight and at Ragnarok, but the level of power that they both exert on each other creates a rift in time and sends them back in time, or at least Jormungandr in time, so that he knows what will happen because he's been there, he's lived it. And because he's a giant, he fucking lives forever. So he just keeps doing the back and forth. Hence why he's so wise. But because of that, he knows at least how things will turn out. But no, he doesn't die. He goes away when you're fighting Baldur, and you can still see him, but you can't interact with him anymore.
If they've already introduced or will be introducing that level of time travel, there is nothing that would stop interconnected gods of war from that level of manipulation.
Yeah. So the only ones that could actually see through those, and this kind of confirms your theory here, the only ones that could see that level of interference would be those that have the eyes of the giants. And guess who has that?
Tyr.
Yeah,
and I can.
Tyr has the eyes of
either Tyr is manipulating Kratos to kill all the other pantheons and create a one world order, basically, or he is tired of Armageddon's always being avoided by some hero of some kind, so he's forcing Armageddon to occur in each pantheon's world. Okay. Either he is conspiring himself, or he and the other gods of war are conspiring against everything else and utilizing Kratos as the pawn. But I can almost promise that the story is going to come full circle, and the reason for Kratos' warpath through his pantheon is going to come around and be the reason why he ends up doing everything Tyr was puppeteering him to do. If he doesn't kill Tyr in this game. If we see Tyr escape in any fashion, shape, or form, and he doesn't come back in a
disappeared
DLC
off
or
stage
something.
for a quick second.
Yeah, and he doesn't come back as a DLC or an expansion or anything like that, I would be willing to put large amounts of money that he was behind the first 3 games, he's behind these 2 games, and he'll be behind every other game in the future until he's eventually confronted by Kratos, either at the end of Kratos' massacre, direct or indirect, or cut short because Kratos figured it out, either because of Loki or something Thor said or whatever. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that is very, very possible. The I could easily see it. Like,
Yeah.
It,
I need to play the
because
first game because I want to see the
Yeah.
story threads.
so the recap. So something that, excuse me, sir, that's factually incorrect. There are no DLCs for God of War. You literally get games.
Well, no, I'm saying like
So
it's again, if a DLC isn't made, if some form of expansion isn't
Yeah.
made that includes tier, and he still somehow escapes, like I said, that is I'm willing to put money that is what's happening, is that tier
Yeah.
is puppeteering everything, or we find out that the fucking World Snake is puppeteering everything.
Yeah, because of his loopy loop.
Mhm.
Well, the game comes out November 9th, so that should be in about a week from premiere. Week and change. Actually, a full week. Yeah. So next week, tomorrow from premiere of the episode here, we're gonna start seeing all the gameplay footage and all that shit. That's when the moratorium will lift. So we'll get more. Most of the dudes, including IGN and GameSpot, have already played the first 5 hours,
Mhm.
which was enough to get literally everybody aboard. Same as last game of like, this is fucking incredible. So yeah, I'm
My
excited.
question then is, should I play on controller or mouse and keyboard?
I mean,
Because I'm thinking mouse
What
and
con-
keyboard.
what controller do you have right now?
Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, the new one won't be on PC for like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So
Well, didn't it sell well?
it did.
The PC version
I don't.
of God of War?
Yeah, but I don't think that'll expedite it years.
No,
Right.
but I might restrict it to 2.
Yeah.
I might restrict it to 2. Anyway, that's going to have to be it, I think.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for everyone that hung out. I appreciate you. Love you. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Join us live on Twitch. Join us for the premieres on Wednesdays. Like, subscribe, comment, everything.
Tell us what we said that pissed you off. That's great.
Yeah.
That'll help the algorithm. And, you know,
Yeah.
you'll be able to get your piece out. You know, you'll be able to have your
Right.
opinion, which
Let
is
us know.
really important.
Just let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Appreciate
dude.
you watching
Love
this
you.
far. If you got here, love you too, brother. And check the description below for our channels and for any links to articles or something that we referenced, if I remember to put them in. And I'll try. Promise. Super promise. Super promise.
Super duper.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, dude.
Bye.
Bye.